Tight end is Lamont Rogers at 170, a senior. The split end, Wayne Clark, 6'2", a senior. The quarterback, J.P. Barton, at 195, a senior. The fullback is, the flanker back rather, is Chris Yonner at 145, a senior. The fullback is Chris Patoka at 205, a senior. And the tailback is Sean Armbrust. He is 190 and a senior. For the Trojans, of course, Brian Mangiafico, the quarterback. Darrell Wyatt, a junior at 5'7", 190 is his center. The guards are Nick Teeter and Paul Neutrar. Tackles offensively, Brian Pegg and John Drapchak. The split end, Geroy Simon. The tight end is Damian Robinson. And in the Trojans' backfield, Mario Hardison, Tom Passio, and James Bush. We're ready now as Bush will kick off for the Trojans. Mount Pleasant set to deploy on our right. Dan Bush hits it high. He hits it deep to Mike Smith. Inside the 10 to the 15. Smith to the 20 and gets nailed. Smith goes down hard with a good opening kickoff return by Paul Neutrar. And Chuck, there's Paul Neutrar again, showing that as a junior he is one of the outright leaders of this football team.
Paul Neutrar having an outstanding season. Neutrar 19 tackles over the first 3 games of the season, and he smears Smith on the opening kickoff, and so 1st and 10 for the Vicious Vikings.
That's what it says in the program. They are the Vicious Vikings, and Wayne Clark will split out wide to the left side. Over the ball, Jeremy Borst. J.P. Barton is the quarterback. The Vikings will start just outside their 20 at about the 21 or 2 yard line. And we have our first delay of the ball game as the officials are walking over toward the Mount Pleasant sideline. And the Vikings will go back to the huddle.
I'll tell you what, we got a couple of things going for us here tonight. We didn't have 2 weeks ago in the Brownsville game. We have a drier field, and we also have the signs up on the far wall. We're well decorated tonight.
Jerry Davich now is meeting with Bill Elder and a couple of the officials, and I have no idea what they could be talking about at this point.
Yeah, you don't see the head coach out on the field after the opening kickoff too often, but whatever it is, it's been resolved. Jerry runs off the field, and we're ready.
As he trots over to the sidelines, the Vikings will huddle up again. And we will be set for the first play from scrimmage. Vikings run out of an I formation. Ball now set for play, and the clock will start.
Mount Pleasant, good football program. They've won a bunch of games in the last few years, and they were expected to contend in the Keystone Conference this season.
They're going to run it out of the I formation. Quarterback is Barton. They go to the set. First handoff will go to the fullback, and nothing doing for Chris Patoka, as they send the fullback into the middle of the line, and the Trojan defense was ready for that one.
Yeah, John Drapchak was there. So was Bill Roth, combining on the stop for the Trojans.
They lost a yard, Chuck. It's going to be 2nd down and 11 at the 21-yard line.
This is a Trojan defense that has looked excellent at times in the first 3 games this season, and at times they seem to just disappear.
Vikings are clad in white uniforms with royal blue numerals and trim and red helmets. And now on 2nd down, they will come with a split backfield and a slot on the left side. Man comes in motion now, and the handoff is going to be kept by the quarterback on a quarterback option, and J.P. Barton will not make it back to the line of scrimmage. J.P. had larceny in his heart, Chuck, but the Trojans were ready for the quarterback option play.
Tom Passio was able to get in there in a hurry and snuff that one out, and so nothing going so far for Mount Pleasant.
And they lose another yard, so the Vikings will put it in play 3rd down and 12 from the 20-yard line.
Both these teams 1 and 2 going into the game tonight. First conference game for the Trojans.
Trojans will play 6 conference games, as do all members of the WPIAL AAA. They have 4 conferences with 7 teams each. Play 6 games in your conference. On 3rd and long, Barton will probably have to go to the air here. He's got split backs. He's going to fake the pitch back, send it over the line. It is going to be complete to Lamont Rogers at the 25-yard line. Rogers goes down immediately, but there's a flag on the play.
Quick stop from Damian Robinson, well short of the 1st and 10, but the flag, let's see what's happening.
It's an ineligible downfield for the Vikings, so the Trojans will decline this penalty. That'll force 4th down, and the Vikings will have to punt the ball away to Johnstown.
Trojans losers 3 weeks ago to Altoona, 2 weeks ago to Brownsville, and of course the Storm abbreviated win last weekend with Fox Chapel. So Johnstown 1 and 2, same as Mount Pleasant.
That was a pass completed for, do they have the ball at the 25? It'll be completed for 5 yards. So it'll be 4th down and 7 yards to go, and the Vikings will have to punt the ball away.
Mario Hardison backtracks. He'll be the sole safety on the return.
Snap comes back. Lamont Rogers gets off a wobbly kick. It's going to bounce just across the 50-yard line and be downed at the Trojans' 49. So Rogers punts the ball away from the 25 to the Trojan 49, a kick of 26 yards. And right at that spot, Johnstown will put it in play, 1st and 10.
Our next broadcast 2 weeks from tonight, October the 5th. That's a Friday night. That is the next Johnstown home game. We'll have it for you on Cablevision. Johnstown and Derry at home at the Point. 7:30 game time. We'll have the warm-up for you at about 7:20.
So the Trojans come out in the spread formation once again.
Showtime.
It is showtime. Brian Mangiafico and one back in front of him. Mangiafico will get the snap directly from Darrell Wyatt. They're going to run a reverse. He gives the ball off in the backfield to Hardison. Tries the left side, and he will get to within a yard of the line of scrimmage. That was a lot of fun, but it lost 1 yard. Well, Chuck, we wondered if there would be showtime for the second home game. And sure enough, on the first play, there was.
Well, I think in spite of the loss to Brownsville 2 weeks ago when they used the spread formation frequently, that they were able to do a lot of things with it. And you'll recall that Brian Mangiafico had 250 or so yards passing with it.
Cablevision going to the wide angle lens as the bulk of the offensive line is near the right hash mark. Direct snap back to Mangiafico. He throws the pass to Hardison, complete to the 45, to the 50. Cuts back against the grain 45, to the 30, and down to the 37-yard line. So that's a 16-yard pickup on the, was that a forward pass or a lateral? I believe it was a forward pass.
I do believe.
Johnson making the tackle for the Vikings. Trojans pick up a first down in the flag.
Was a lateral. Okay.
Okay, it does not go as passing yardage, but it counts nonetheless, and the Trojans are down to the 37-yard line of the Vikings.
Showtime again.
Back to the spread, this time strong on the left side. Direct snap goes in the backfield to Hardison. Hardison busts across the 35, down to the 31-yard line. That'll be a gain of 6 yards.
This, by the way, the other Hardison, John Hardison, but the first running play from the spread formation.
Let's give him the 32-yard line for a 5-yard gain. That'll bring up 2nd down and 5. And Jerry's going to hang with it. This time the strong side of the line is on the left side. You've still got to have 4 people in the backfield. We had a problem with that 2 weeks ago, but that seems to be solved. Snap back to Mangiafico. Quick pass, complete to Mario Hardison. To the 30, and down he goes at the 30-yard line. That's going to bring up 3rd and about 3. That was a forward pass.
Well, we talked about the possibility of exposure and the fact that you don't have much protection for your quarterback, and for that matter, no blockers for your running back if you decide to run the football from this formation. So you do have more of the potential for exposure and something drastic happening, but you also, I think, have the potential for some exciting plays, and that seems to be what we're going to go with tonight.
Bill Elder had the Vikings ready for this, though. They didn't push the panic button the first time they saw it. On 3rd and several, the pass from center goes back to Mangiafico. He's going to throw it downfield, complete. Well done to Damian Robinson, and Robinson is inside the 20 down to about the 15-yard line. So well done, Brian Mangiafico, on the pass, 15 yards down to the 15-yard line, and the Trojans have a 1st and 10. Second first down for Johnstown on this drive.
We wondered going in if Johnstown would go to the spread formation as often, and they're using it exclusively so far tonight. So showtime.
High school football is supposed to be fun. If you're listening to this Friday night, watch it on Cablevision at 7 o'clock Saturday night. It's showtime. Mangiafico, forward pass. Mario Hardison to the 15, inside the 10-yard line. Looks like he coughed up the football, or did he squirm loose? I guess he squirmed loose. And the Trojans will have another first down inside the 5 at the 4-yard line. The 3rd first down, let's mark it at the 3-yard line. That's a gain of a dozen, and it's 1st and goal for Johnstown.
You know, there are certain ingredients you need for this particular type of formation. You need a quarterback with a lot of poise. You got that with Brian Mangiafico. You need some smurfs, some guys that can move the football in a hurry, and with Damian Robinson, Mario Hardison, John Hardison, Trojans are able to do that.
So here we go, back to another spread formation on 1st and goal. Maggiviver, forward pass complete to Mario Hardison. He's into the goal line, across the goal line for the touchdown. So it is showtime indeed as the Trojans take the ball all the way into the end zone with their gadget formation, and Johnstown breaks out on top 6-0. That will be a 3-yard pass, and now here is Arturo Vega, an exchange student from Spain who drilled a 27-yarder last week for the winning points against Fox Chapel.
6:22 remaining in the first quarter. Trojans take the early lead.
There's the kick. It is up, and the kick is good. So there's timeout on the field with the Trojans leading by a score of 7-0.
Coming through, we're coming through for you. Cable vision of Greater Johnstown, coming through for Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Coming through for you. Coming through for you.
Back at the Point Stadium, James Bush will kick off for the Trojans, who lead at 7-0 here midway through the first quarter. Good looking opening drive. It's a squib kick this time, and it's going to be all the way back to Smith at the 15-yard line, to the 20, to the 25. Smith is forced out of bounds across the 30-yard line, so that's where the Vikings will put the ball in play. That was a squib kick, and it actually squibbed back to Smith off the hands of one of the upbacks. I believe it was Wade McLean, and that's where it's going to be first down, 10 yards to go for Mount Pleasant.
So Mount Pleasant will take over 1st and 10. Trojans had really no problem containing them on the Vikings' first offensive possession at the beginning of the game. Let's see how they do this time on defense.
Vikings break the huddle. They'll have it 1st and 10 at their own 30-yard line. Chris Yasher is wide on the left side. The backs are split behind Barton. Barton going to give it to the second back through, and a big hole opens up for Chris Patoka. He is all by himself. To the 40, to the 35, one man to beat. And the Trojans' Mario Hardison, the last line of defense, finally pulls him down at the Johnstown 28-yard line. That's a gain of 42 yards and a first down for Mount Pleasant. Chuck, they sent the second back through, and he had wide open spaces.
Touchdown saving tackle from Mario Hardison, and I think everybody in the world is fooled on that particular play. Had a 20-30-yard gain before anyone knew who had the football.
There was a blocker downfield, but Hardison did a good job getting around him and making the tackle. So that will be a bit of a stimulus to the Vikings as they're set to go 1st and 10 from the infield here at the Point Stadium. First down of the night for the Vikings. Barton ready to go. Brings him to the set. Going to give it to the second back through again. That once again will be Chris Patoka. And he will cross the Trojan 25 to about the 23-yard line. That'll be a pickup of nearly 5 yards on the play. It's going to bring up 2nd down and 5.
Drapchak getting the stop for the Trojans with the success of the last running play and then giving it to the second back through this time. You really do freeze your defense for just a second there and give the Mount Pleasant Vikings an advantage.
Jerry Davich and his coaching staff exhorting his troops on as the Vikings break the huddle for the 2nd down play. This time they'll run from a slot left formation. There's Chris Yasher in the slot. Yasher now comes in motion. Barton gets the ball. A late pitch goes to Mike Smith, and Mike Smith will be hauled down just short of the 20-yard line.
Tom Passio with Damian Robertson.
Pickup will be just a couple. It's going to bring up 3rd down and 3 at the 21.
For the Trojans, Damian Robinson, Tom Passio over there. Some good short tackling from the Trojans on defense in the early going here.
We're down to 4:35 remaining on a moving clock in the first period. Johnstown leading at 7-0. Thank you for joining us. Friday night on WJAC Radio, Saturday night at 7 on Cablevision Channel 9. This time it's going to be a tighter formation from the power I. On 3rd and 3. Barton going to give it to the second back through again, and not much doing as they'll be stacked up near the line of scrimmage. So now the Vikings will face a decision. They're held for no gain. Actually, may have lost about a yard, but we'll call it no gain.
Drapchak was there, Nitrar was there for the Trojans, and so once again they've been able to stop the Mount Pleasant Vicious Vikings.
On fourth and a long 3 or a short 4, take your pick. We'll see if they have a field goal kicker, Chuck. We're going to find that out real early tonight.
Well, the Trojans know they have one. It's
Yes,
been
they do.
a fun year so far with Arturo Vega.
And the Vikings evidently don't, so on fourth down, they'll go for it. They send a flanker left, split end on the right side. Quarterback is Barton on fourth down and a long 3. Barton will give it to the second back throw, and I don't know, Chris Patoka pulls it inside the 20-yard line,
Brought down by Robinson.
and it's going to be close.
Going to be real close. Damian Robinson, Paul Nitrar combining on the stop.
Official will bring in the chains, and they'll measure this one. It's either going to be Johnstown's ball or a first down by just a bit for the Vikings. The Vikings, by the way, are called, in fact, the Vicious Vikings in the program.
Field in pretty good condition tonight. I was down on the infield dirt before the game. It looks worse than it
Whoa,
is.
is that close? Get out the index card. See if it'll fit between the stick and the ball. They still, first down. Now they give the signal first down for the Vikings. That's their second one, and that one was by the width of your fingernail.
I give them a 64th of an inch, okay?
And that was just about it. So at the Trojan 18-yard line, it is first down and 10 for the Vikings of Mount Pleasant.
Anyway, on the field condition, things are in pretty good shape. The infield dirt looking worse than it is. It actually is in fairly good shape tonight. And the grass is real
Yes.
good.
On first down with a split backfield, split end wide on the left side. Barton ready to go at the Trojan 18-yard line. Barton going to give it to, he's going to keep it himself, and he actually hurdled himself by holding on to the blocker's jersey, which is illegal, but apparently nobody saw it, and he will be down to about the 16-yard line, the 15-yard line, a gain of 3.
Making the stop for Johnstown.
Did you see that, Chuck? He actually had a hold of the jersey of his lead blocker.
Most unusual, but it worked. Got him a couple of yards.
Like,
Second and 7.
The old roller derby, whipping the skater ahead. Second down, 7 to go, 2.5 minutes remaining in our opening period. Johnstown leading 7-0. Split backfield again. Wayne Clark this time is the split end wide on the right side. Quarterback Barton back to pass, and it is off the fingertips of Clark. Well defended, Chuck, by Mario Hardison. He was right there on the play.
Mario Hardison was there, and I'm sure Mario Hardison thinking briefly that they might call interference against him, but no way.
He's outmatched, Chuck. Hardison is 5'6", and Clark is 6'2". But he did the job on that play.
Another big third down play coming up for the Vikings.
The incompletion stops the clock with 2:18 remaining in the first quarter. Our next Cablevision broadcast 2 weeks from tonight on homecoming night at Johnstown. It'll be Trojan night, the Derry Trojans and the Johnstown Trojans.
That's right.
This time there are wideouts on both sides, a flanker and a wide receiver on third and long. Straight back to pass. This time comes Bartner. After him, he steps up, gets away from the trouble, and it's going to be intercepted, I believe, inside the 5-yard line. It's Johnstown's ball. Mario Hardison, Chuck.
Mario Hardison with all that speed, able to run it on offense, able to play defensive cornerback well on defense, and that time showing his speed and able to get in there, get the interception. Trojans get a break as they get the interception deep in their own territory.
And if you question whether he should have intercepted the ball or knocked it down, he did absolutely the right thing there because the Vikings had another down remaining.
That's right.
Trojans over the ball, and even this deep in their own territory. They're going to go to the spread, and Brian Mangiafico is near the back of the end zone.
Dangerous situation.
Snap back. Mangiafico is going to have to get rid of it, and he throws it away, and he's going to get flagged. Mangiafico is going to be flagged for intentionally grounding the ball in the end zone, I believe.
Well, he had a receiver, about 6-7 yards upfield, but he wasn't able to get the football anywhere near him. And so a late flag, relatively late flag. I guess that's intentional grounding.
Well, we'll be on the official. He may have found something else, too. Here comes the call, intentional grounding in the end zone. Safety against Johnstown, and Jerry Davich is livid. Jerry Davich is absolutely livid. He's out on the side of the field. He throws down his clipboard. If there was a second base there, I'm sure he'd pull it out and throw it into the outfield.
Fans don't like it either.
So it's going to count as an intentional grounding in the end zone, which of course is a safety. And there's Jerry. Jerry was not at all pleased.
Very subjective call, and the officials called it the way the Johnstown Trojan fans didn't want to call it.
Jerry is still complaining with the official, or to the official, whichever preposition you want. It was a late flag, and as you said, there was a receiver at least in the area.
I'm around the official pleading his case, but Jerry gives up, goes back home. Boy, that's a tough call, you know that?
That really is, but they made it.
I said that was a dangerous situation, that formation from deep in your own territory. MACGYVER was scrambling around in his own end zone, but the official called the safety.
So the Trojans will get the free kick from the 20-yard line, which means that the Vikings will get the ball back in good field position. Johnstown huddling up now, and I'm sure Coach Davich is saying just forget about this. Get on with the ball game and do your best. They are going to kick it from placement.
It'll be James Bush who continues to kick off. Arturo Vega strictly used on the extra points and possible field goal situations.
Arturo won the ball game last weekend in Fox Chapel. He kicked the field goal in the first period. And when the game was called off because of the bad weather, that score held up and Johnstown gets a 3-0 victory. So rather than going for the punch, the Trojans must feel the place-kicking game is a bit stronger, and Bush will set the ball at the 20-yard line. The official will set things ready for play, and Bush is going to kick it back to the Vikings. Kicks it high, kicks it well to Mike Smith at the 32-yard line. 35 to the 40, and down he goes at the 41, and a flag is thrown into the pile. So again, Chuck, the Trojans with good coverage on the punt team and the kickoff team.
Well, guess who on the tackle? A guy that is quickly emerging as one of the forces on defense. Outstanding defensive player, Paul Nitrar. He's a junior. He's 6'1", he's 180, but he loves to hit, doesn't he?
We have a chop block going to be called against the Vikings, and that'll push him back. And you're right about Nitrar. He, as a sophomore last year, was outstanding.
Nitrar leading the team in tackles so far this year. He has 19 plus a couple more tonight. I've got 21 on the season for Nitrar. So he'll be back next year.
They will step off the penalty. There is 5 yards. There are 10 yards. And there are 15 yards. That's their first penalty of the night. And that'll set the Vikings back to the 26-yard line.
2 weeks ago, we had, at this point of the game, probably 7 or 8 penalties because of the Johnstown spread formation and all the uncertainty. So it's nice to see not too many flags being thrown out there tonight.
And here we go. The Vikings will get into the huddle. They'll break it very quickly and come out to put the ball in play from their own 26. Johnstown leading 7-0. There's a minute and a half remaining in the first period. Vikings in the I formation. Split end on the right side. A whistle, I think that's going to be delay a game. They just took a long time getting themselves organized. Again, we should wait for the official, but the guy that threw the flag is the guy that keeps the time.
Delay a game it is.
So now it'll be first down and 15 from the 21-yard line.
Minute 19 remaining in the first quarter. Our next Cablevision broadcast 2 weeks from tonight, Johnstown and Derry, right here at the Point.
Next weekend on 850 Radio, it'll be Cambria Heights, I believe, at Forest Hills. Chuck?
Sounds good.
Penna and Don Stanton on Friday night. From the I formation, ready to go again are the Vikings. On first down, handoff going to come to the deep back. A little bit of room to run for the deep back, Jimmy Johnson, on his first carry of the night. And he gets out to the 25-yard line. That'll be a pickup of 4 yards for Johnson.
James Bush getting the stop for the Trojans. We talked about the Trojans seemingly falling asleep at times on defense in the first couple games this season, but they have looked good defensively tonight except for that one long gainer from Mount Pleasant, and their tackling has been really crisp so far tonight.
This time Mount Pleasant will go with a slot right. The man in the slot is Adrian Armel. Backs are split behind Barton on second down and 11 yards to go. Barton with a long count, going to hand it off to the first back throw, and Chris Patoka is rolled down at the line of scrimmage or near there. He's going to get virtually no gain. It's going to be 3rd and long. Give Patoka 1. It'll be 3rd down and about 10.
Trojans weren't sure at the onset if the quarterback had kept it or he had handed off, so they tackled both. both in their own backfield. So good job defensively by Johnstown that time.
The Vikings' lone victory has come over Tri-Valley, which of course is a jointure of the former Albert Gallatin, Fairchance Georges, and German Township school districts. That's a Quad A district, and that's the team they beat. There's the horn. We have played 1 quarter at the Point Stadium with timeout on the field to score. Johnstown 7 and Mount Pleasant 2.
Look what's coming through this week on cable. That's this week, only on Cablevision of Greater Johnstown.
And welcome back to Cablevision and WJAC, and happy birthday tonight to Charles Benedict Bender, my partner for the last 19 years. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
And if you're watching this on Cablevision Saturday night, Chuck's birthday was yesterday, and you missed it. Missed the party. The parties were another night at the office. 3rd and long for the Vikings from the I formation. Barton, in what would seem to be an obvious passing situation, drops back, and the Trojans got him. The Trojan defense was coming all out on the pass rush, and Barton never had a chance.
Well, it was John Williams who was able to contain the quarterback, and then it was John Pasio who was able to contain the quarterback. Excuse me. Then John Williams who was able to finally finish him off. So Trojan defense looking good again.
It's a loss of just about 9. It's 4th down, and the Vikings will have to punt it away. That is Lamont Rogers in punt formation. Gets it up. Better this time. Long spiral, and Hardison going to let it bounce. It'll take a Viking bounce across midfield and finally roll dead at the Trojans' 49-yard line.
Hardison thought about running it back, then hesitated, let it bounce in front of him. Fortunately for Johnstown, only about a 4 or 5 yard bounce for Mount Pleasant, so Trojans set up shop in pretty good field condition.
One of the cardinal rules is you never let a ball bounce on a punt, and certainly not on a kickoff. That one could have taken a 15 or 20 yard bounce, but the Trojans got a bit of a break as it only went to the Johnstown 49-yard line. Here we go to the spread formation. We have not seen a normal formation yet tonight, have we?
No, we haven't.
So Mangiafico back inside his 40, ready for the snap from center. He'll roll out to his right, throw the ball way downfield, and overthrow everybody. G. Simon, the intended receiver, down around the 25-yard line, but the ball falls incomplete. 4 for 6 passing, Mangiafico so far tonight, Chuck. And what a marvelous night he had 2 weeks ago in that loss. He had 245 yards passing.
He did have a good night in a losing cause. Mangiafico getting belted just as he unloaded the football on this on the pass play just completed. And that's one of the dangers of this formation. You are going to be exposed, and he was, and he got nailed that time.
The Vikings will rush 2 men, one on either side of the center. Darrell Wyatt. Trojans going to run another reverse. Now a double reverse as it ends up to Hardison. He dropped the ball at the 37-yard line. He covers it. But the play is going to lose 12 yards, and it'll be Johnstown 3rd down and a long-distance call.
Even without the fumble, that play was doomed. You could see it developing, and unfortunately, just as we could see it developing, I think Mount Pleasant saw it developing almost from the beginning.
Yeah, they stayed home on that one. So on the double reverse, nothing good comes of it. In fact, it's a mini disaster, and the Trojans are back at their 37-yard line where it's 3rd down and 22 yards to go. Now we have a traditional formation, and we're going to see the Smurfs running down the field. Damian Robinson going to be covered man for man. In fact, they are on both sides. It's going to be a handoff on a draw play, and Mario Hardison gets nailed near the line of scrimmage. So the Trojans will have to give it up on a punt.
Chris Patoka nails Mario Hardison, so Trojans seem to be running out of gas here. The spread formation has not been going well the last couple of plays.
I really thought we were going to see a fly pattern on that third down play, Chuck.
I did too.
The draw play surprised me. Mangiafico will be in punt formation. Back deep is Mike Smith for the Vikings. Ball at the Trojan 38. Punts a line drive, and Smith will field it at his 32-yard line. So it's going to be a 31-yard punt, and the Vikings will put the ball in play, 1st and 10 at their own 32-yard line. Smith did what you're supposed to do. He caught the ball, Chuck.
Whenever you get a chance, check out the posters on the far side of the field against the wall over there. We didn't see those 2 weeks ago, but it's really good to see those back. They're fun to read.
A lot of spirit at Johnstown High. Coach Davich knows football, one of them says. Yep. Bo knows baseball, doesn't he? Mount Pleasant coming out in first down formation at their 32-yard line. Split backs behind Barton. Brings him to the set. Going to go to the first back through. And Johnson will get nothing. He is stuffed at the line of scrimmage. It's going to bring up 2nd down and still about 10 yards to go.
Nick Teeter, Natrar, Pasio were all there, and the Trojan defense really seems like they're ready for Mount Pleasant defensively tonight.
He actually lost a yard, so let's move it back to the 31-yard line. It's going to be 2nd down and 11.
Keep in mind, this Trojan defense, predominantly juniors, is going to get better and better as the season goes on, and then they're back next year.
Yes, sir. From the split back formation, pitch going to come around the right side to Mike Smith, and Mike Smith will cross the 35 out to about the 36. That's a gain of 6 yards, 5 yards to the 36, but it'll bring up another 3rd and long for the Vikings.
Damian Robinson getting the Trojan stop, and again Johnstown able to get the Mount Pleasant vicious Vikings in a third down situation that seems to dictate pass.
It's 3rd and a long 6, a short 7, just outside the 35 at about the 36-yard line. Going to be a slot on the left side this time. Going from the slot will be Adrian Armel. Remaining backs are in the eye. Back to pass goes Barton. Barton now has some room to roll. He's going to get a block and get his first down across the 40 out to the 45-yard line. So that's a gain of 9 strong yards on the roll left by J.P. Barton, the 195-pound senior from Mount Pleasant.
The Vikings pick up a first down on the play.
You saw Tom Pasio in pursuit of the quarterback, but he wasn't able to catch up and then got blocked out of it. And Mount Pleasant gets the 1st and 10.
The Vikings have the ball at their own 44-yard line. 1st down and 10, moving from left to right here in the 2nd period. Johnstown trying to dig in defensively. The only points given up by the Trojans tonight were on the safety called against Brian Mangiafico for intentional grounding in the end zone. A wide out far to the right side of the field, actually only about 6 or 7 yards from the sideline. Handoff will go to the second back through, and some room opens up for Chris Patoka, the 205-pound senior running back, as he crosses midfield into Trojan territory at the 48 or 9-yard line, and we're going to have an injured Viking down. The ball will be at the Trojan 49. That's a gain of 7 yards. It'll bring up 2nd down and about 3 yards to go. So while they tend to the injured Viking, we'll take a 30-second break. There's timeout on the field with the score: Johnstown 7, Mount Pleasant 2.
One channel has golf, another has baseball, there's football on another.
What's the problem, hon?
I wasn't so confused before cable had so much sports.
Oh, right. Back then you complained there wasn't enough sports on TV.
I guess.
And you complained that everything was the same on the few channels we had.
You're right.
And you really complained that you wanted more sports, more variety, and more special events.
I remember.
So we got cable TV. That solved the problem. But you're still complaining.
I guess I'm not used to getting what I want.
The injured Viking was Chris Patoka. He is up and off the field onto the sideline, apparently all right, and the Vikings are set to go now on 2nd down and 3.
By the way, Scott, on your program, you got 2 numbers, 41. You can cross off 41, Jim Johnson.
So Joe Puskar is the other 41.
Right.
All righty. On 2nd down and 3 yards to go, Barton ready. Brings him to the set. It'll go to Barton himself as a quarterback, and run a quarterback option. And he will be out very near the first down yardage at about the Trojan 47-yard line. It appears from here as though he is perhaps just a tad short. It's a pickup of only a couple. And it's going to bring up third down and a yard.
And again, Paul Netroy getting the stop for the Trojans. He is leading the team in tackles and having himself another good night tonight. Boy, he is really becoming more and more of a force on defense.
Fine young man, a good student, and an excellent football player. Tight formation with only one wideout from the power I. Barton going to try to bust it straight up the gut, it looks, for the first down. It'll go to the tailback, and it'll be a first down and more for Sean Armbrust. As Armbrust gets all the way down to the Trojan 40-yard line, a 7-yard pickup, and that'll move the sticks for the Vikings. 4 first downs now in the evening for Mount Pleasant.
Nick Teeter getting the Trojan stop, and it seems like Mount Pleasant now, after not having much success moving the football in the first quarter, has been able to do a bit better here in the second quarter of play.
Nick Teeter, another name that keeps popping up, Chuck. He's having quite a ball game.
And another junior, and there's just a whole bunch of juniors offensively and defensively for the Trojans that are developing that we'll be talking about this year and next.
From the Johnstown 40-yard line with a new set of 4 downs, J.P. Barton calls them out. Backs are split. They have a split end on the left, a flanker on the right. Handoff will go in the backfield, and a fumble by quarterback Barton as the Trojans busted in so quickly that the handoff was muffed, and Barton covers the football at the 43.
Bodies all over the place that time. Netroy was there. Teeter was there. Drapchak was there.
Let's put him down now on the 44. It's actually a loss of more like 4 yards. It'll be second down and 14 to go for the Vikings.
This game moving along rather quickly. We're at 5 minutes, just under 5 minutes in the second quarter.
You're listening to 850 WJAC Radio Johnstown on Friday night, or watching Cablevision Channel 9 on Saturday night. We're so glad you've joined us. I'm Scott McLeod with Chuck Bender with Johnstown Trojan football. Slot left the formation. They're in an I. Barton going to do a couple of pump fakes, head back to pass, or after him. Gets the ball away. It is well short of Wayne Clark out there in the left flat, and it'll fall incomplete. And Barton took quite a hit just as he released the football. 1 for 4 passing now is Barton for the Vikings. Trojans defending the pass very well, Chuck.
Yes, they did. Next best thing to a sack is a hurry. And that time it was Tom Pasio who forced the quarterback to throw the football just a bit quicker than he wanted to. And the incompletion.
That stops the clock with 4:34 remaining in the second period. Johnstown holding on to a 7-2 lead. Trojans scored early from their spread formation and then gave up the safety on the intentional grounding in the end zone, and that's been it so far tonight. Arturo Vega kicked the extra point for the 7th point, and it's 7-2. I formation, obvious passing down, 3rd and long. Straight back drops Bartner. After him again, he takes another big hit. The ball may have been partially tipped, and the pass falls incomplete, and Barton is taking his lumps as he got hit very solidly again just as he got rid of the football.
And again, Barton had to hurry the throw as he saw Tom Pasio coming at him, and he wasn't able to come up with a completion, so Trojans doing the job on defense.
Lavont Rogers will drop back into deep punt formation. Line of scrimmage is the Trojans 44. Back deep to field the punt is Mario Hardison. The other 10 guys are on the line of scrimmage. It looks like they may be coming. Here they come. It's a fake, and they got a man wide open. Pass is complete to Mike Smith, to the 20, to the 15, and down to the Trojans' 13-yard line. So we've got another gadget play. Jerry Davich isn't the only one with tricks in his little bag.
Well, you wonder if Mount Pleasant resorted to that play because they saw 10 men coming, or it was planned from the beginning. At any rate, he was wide open.
He really was. The ball will move all the way down to the Trojans, let's call it the 14-yard line, for a gain of 30 yards. Trojans will take a timeout. So there's timeout on the field with the score. Johnstown 7 and Mount Pleasant 2.
Coming through, coming through. We're coming through for you. Cable vision of Greater Johnstown, coming through for Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Coming through for you. Cable vision of Greater Johnstown.
are back at the Point Stadium. 4 minutes, 20 seconds remaining in the second quarter. Trojans lead 7-2. Johnstown with the early touchdown. Mount Pleasant coming back with the safety on Brian Mangiafico in the end zone. 7-2 Trojans.
New center in there now, Ron Linhart for Mount Pleasant, as they run from the power I formation. On first down, and off to the deep back. And that'll crack forward for a couple of yards, down to near the 10-yard line. Ball carrier that time was Joe Puskar. A gain of about 3 yards, down to the 11.
Darrell Wyatt and Damian Robinson getting the Johnstown stop. Trojans have been in the lead the whole time.
The Vikings are indeed knocking at the door. Second down from the 11-yard line. Second down and 7 yards to go. Power I this time. Handoff will come to the deep back. That is Mike Smith, and Mike Smith has nowhere to run and nowhere to hide as the killer bees were swarming on that play.
Yep, Damian Robinson, John Williams, Nitrar were all over there getting the stop, and the Trojans are really doing a job on defense tonight. They've given up a couple of big plays at very inopportune times, but they've kept them off the scoreboard with the exception of the safety. Trojan defense has been impressive.
So now it's third down and long, third and still about 7 with the ball at the Trojan 11-yard line. Wayne Clark splits out very wide to the right side on what would seem to be a passing down. Barton barks out the signals. Instead, he's going to hand it off to the second back through. That is Patoka. Patoka will get a little bit, but it's going to bring up fourth down for the Vikings. Patoka will be cracked out somewhere around the 7-yard line. That's going to be a gain of about 4.
Pasio and Robinson wrestle him down on the far side of the field, so we've got field goal situation without a field goal kicker, right?
Yes, I would think that since they didn't go for one earlier, they must not have a reliable kicker, and they're going to have to go for it on fourth down. So it'll be 4th and 4. The ball is at the 7-yard line. The Vikings must get to near the 3-yard line of the Trojans.
Both bands lining up on the far side of the field for halftime performances, so we would assume we're going to be in an extended halftime show.
And you can see that on Cablevision Channel 9 tomorrow night from the Power Eye. And off, no, the quarterback drops back. He gets nailed just as he releases the ball by Tom Pasio. And the pass falls incomplete, and Chuck, we've held him once again.
And that is the third time tonight Pasio has been able to get to the quarterback. So, yep, the Trojans hold him, take over the football with 2:46 remaining in the first half.
So what do we see now with just under 3 minutes remaining in the half, and the Trojans again deep in their own territory? They inherited the ball once earlier in a similar position, and Mangiafico on the spread formation was trapped in the end zone and threw it away on the intentional grounding for a safety.
One would think that Jerry Davidge will get a bit more conservative with 2:46 remaining and the 7-2 lead and deep in their own territory, and he does.
Yes, indeed. They come out in a standard, this time the wishbone formation. So another new look by the Trojans, but Mangiafico's back in the end zone. Throwing the ball way downfield. It is broken up and incomplete, intended for James Bush out near the 40-yard line, but a good defensive play by Smith. Mangiafico now 4 for 8, Chuck, and I was a bit surprised by that.
I was too, and I'm sure Mount Pleasant was as well, although they had a couple of guys defending James Bush downfield.
So that brings up second down. The play only chewed 6 seconds off the clock. There are still 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in the second quarter.
Trojan offense not afraid to take some chances even when they are in a conventional offensive formation.
Once again, Bush will be wide out on the left side from the wishbone. Mangiafico barks him out. And off to the deep back, and not a whole lot doing as they ran it into the right tackle position. Trojans will get just a yard or so, and that's going to bring up third down and long. Ball carrier was Mario Hardison, I believe.
Clock is running. We're down to 2:24 in the second quarter. Trojans have to not only try to get a 1st and 10, they've got to eat up some clock. Of course, if you get the 1st and 10, you don't want to eat up some clock.
Yeah, if they would happen to pick it up here, I imagine they'd try to move the ball downfield, but it's going to be a tough proposition. It's third down and 9. Again from the wishbone. Again, Bush is wide to the left side of the field, outside the hash mark. Mangiafico rolling. They're going to get him in the end zone. He's going to throw a little screen pass is about the closest thing that you'd call it to John Hardison. And Hardison is out across the 15 to the 17-yard line, and he's got a first down for the Trojans, I believe. They're taking a long look. First down, Johnstown.
That could have been another safety for Mount Pleasant. Fortunately, as Mangiafico was about to be cut down in the end zone, he spotted Hardison about 6-7 yards in front of him, threw the pass, got the completion, and the 1st and 10.
That's the 4th first down for the Trojans.
Clock running. How about another bomb?
Again from the wishbone. This time the wideout is on the right side of the field. Trojans have sideline left and running room right. Mangiafico back to pass. He's throwing the bomb. And there goes one of the Smurfs, James Bush. And it's incomplete. Down at about the 48 or 47-yard line of Mount Pleasant. So Mangiafico really aired that one out, trying to get Bush to run underneath it.
Well, the Vikings saw the bomb attempted on 1st and 10 just a minute ago, and I guess anticipated that as a possibility this time, and they were pretty well defensed for it.
James Bush, another one of the Smurfs, is 5'7", 141 pounds. Bush is a senior. A minute 21 now remaining in the second period. Johnstown will send Bush out again. Is he going to have to go back to the races another time? He just ran 40 yards downfield. Again from the wishbone, which is a good passing formation. The pitchback is muffed. It actually went off the back of one of the upmen, and the ball will squirt out of bounds, being covered there by Drapchak, and the Trojans will face a 3rd and long again from their own 13-yard line. That was an attempted pitchback, and it looked, Chuck, as though it went off somebody's body and never got to the pitchback man.
I think so. Trojans do love to live dangerously, don't they?
Don't they, though? This is fun football this year.
Yes, it is. You're in the stands watching this one. You got to pay attention. So minus 4 yards on the muffed pitchback that ended up out of bounds. It'll be 3rd down and 14 yards to go. Again from the wishbone, as I was saying, that is a good passing formation because you have lots of blockers. Handoff instead will go to Hardison to the 20, the 25, the 30, the 35, the 40. Hardison to midfield, tries to cut back, and he is down to the Vikings' 41-yard line. So that's going to be a pickup of 37 and 9, 46 yards. And that'll get the Trojans out of trouble in a big hurry, Chuck. Took a Smurf to catch a Smurf, didn't it? Coach
really did.
Yasser finally catching up to Hardison. Hardison with some good moves and a lot of speed, but Mount Pleasant able to catch up with him. But a big gainer, and now all of a sudden the Trojans wish they had more time on the clock. They got a minute 4.
Mario Hardison has 61 yards on the night, Chuck. He's
well
predicting
en route for
1,000 yards, right?
yards.
This time the Trojans will run out of the slot left formation with wideouts on both sides, remaining backs in the I. Going to try a reverse, and it ends up in the hands of Bush. Bush to the 40, to the 35, and inside the 35 at about the 34-yard line. So that'll be a pickup of a strong 7 yards. Actually going to be ruled down at the 35-yard line, so a gain of 6 yards for Bush.
No problem. Play went well. Wasn't a big gainer, but they did get some yardage on it. Got out of bounds, stopped the clock. You're at 56 seconds remaining in the second quarter.
Jerry Davich has put all the gadgets in the world in his bag, hasn't he? We've had a reverse, a double reverse, the spread formation. We've had the just a little bit of everything. Coach Davich knows football, yeah.
Ought to write a book.
Enjoying your birthday, Chuck.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Slot left the formation. Split end on the right side, again from the I-backs on 2nd down. Mangiafico going to come straight back and throw it way downfield. Got a man open, incomplete. Just overthrown. James Bush was the intended receiver. 5 for 11 now is Mangiafico passing, and that'll stop the clock again with 51 seconds remaining.
Mangiafico got clobbered, stayed on his feet with that pass attempt, and we're down to 51 seconds. Trojans would love to get some points on the board. Keep in mind, if they can get it a bit closer, and with only a few seconds left in the quarter, they could bring on Arturo Vega to show his foot.
Ball is just outside the 35-yard line. It's 3rd down. 51 seconds remaining in the second period with the Trojans leading 7-2. And off comes in the backfield to Mario Hardison, and he will have the first down, but there is a flag down. Flag thrown right where you would anticipate a holding call, right in the middle of the line.
Well, it looked like they were going to contain Hardison, and he was able to gain some yardage. And so, yeah, I think holding's a good possibility here.
That is going to be the call, holding against the Trojans, and Bill Elder says send them back 10 yards. So Johnstown will be penalized 10 yards, and the first penalty against the Trojans all evening, Chuck.
Yeah, and so that takes you out of near field goal range. So the Trojans need to pick up, what, a good 20 yards here before field goal is even a possibility.
That sets the ball all the way back to the 43-yard line, where it's going to be third down at about 12.
Make no mistake about it, Arturo Vega could kick one from 35, 40 yards out.
We watched him during warm-ups, and here we go to the spread formation. It's showtime. The bunch is on the left side. They are scattered out on the right side, and Brian Mangiafico drops back to pass. They're after him. They're after him. He fumbles the football. It is going to be covered by Drapchak. His showtime is over there. Drapchak saves the bacon at the Johnstown 41-yard line. What do you think, Chuck?
Drapchak did fall on the football. Well, that takes you very definitely out of field goal range and doesn't give you time to get into field goal range.
The Vikings will take a timeout, so there's timeout on the field with the score. Johnstown 7 and Mount Pleasant 2.
Look what's coming through this week on cable. That's this week, only on Cablevision of Greater Johnstown.
We are back at the Point Stadium. 7-2 is our score. Trojans over Mount Pleasant. 15 seconds remaining in this first half of play. With fourth down, Trojans will have to kick it, and I would assume that Mount Pleasant is going to come after it.
They have three guys back. I don't know that they are going to rush. I thought the strategy would have to be to rush the punter.
A lot more logical if they would do that.
Mangiafico gets the big rush, but he gets the punt away, and it's a beauty. It's a thing of beauty. Bounces inside the 25-yard line, and it's going to fall dead right about at the 25. So that's a great punt by Mangiafico under difficult circumstances. And the Vikings will get the ball with only 4 seconds left, and the clock is going to be kept stopped. The Vikings will take a timeout here to discuss this final play. That's their last one of the quarter, so there's timeout on the field with the score. Johnstown 7 and Mount Pleasant 2.
Whoa, did you see that? Nothing but nets. Hey, change the channel. Let's check out the golf. No, the bowling. Bowling? That's not a sport. It sure isn't the way you bowl. Okay, bowling. What channel? Oh, hang on, I'll flip through. Hey, slow down. You'll miss something good. Yeah, I know. But isn't all this great? I remember what TV used to be like on a weeknight. Yeah, but now we've got cable. So you know there's some good sports on. Look, stop here. You can catch all the scores in this show.
We are just about at halftime. We'll invite those of you on radio to stay tuned for the Jim Pennis Show, and Chuck Bender with a couple of interviews on TV on Saturday night. Enjoy the high school bands. The Vikings have time for a play at the end of the first half. Straight back goes Barton. They're after him. Down he goes. Fumbled the football, recovers it himself, and that's halftime. So we've had a great first half. Johnstown leading at 7-2. Reminder once again, stay tuned on the radio side for the Jim Pennis Show, and on TV Saturday night for the great performance by the high school bands. We'll be back with the second half.
You're watching Channel 9, Cablevision Community Television.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to present to you the 1990 Mount Pleasant
Peter Johnson High School marching band.
Stay tuned to Channel 9, Cablevision Community Television.
We are back at the Point Stadium. It is halftime tonight. Johnstown 7, Mount Pleasant 2 is our score. Johnstown scoring first on the pass play from Brian Mangiafico to Mario Hardison. The Arturo Vega extra point made it a 7-0 field goal. Johnstown taking the early lead in the ball game and able to stop Mount Pleasant defensively. Mount Pleasant's only score coming on the safety whenever Brian Mangiafico went to the spread formation from deep in his own territory and was able to go back into the end zone. Had to throw the pass out of the player out of there under a lot of pressure. A safety was called, intentional grounding safety was called, 7-2, and that's our score at halftime.
And by the way, tomorrow night will be a big night for Johnstown. Tomorrow, the Johnstown High School Band hosts their 6th annual Festival of Music Band competition here at the Point Stadium. Tomorrow night for the radio audience, that being on Saturday night, participating bands will come from 4 counties and 4 states. The Festival of Music tomorrow night here at the Point Stadium. It begins at 7 o'clock.
Well, the bands have concluded their performance, and what a performance it was from both the Mount Pleasant Band and just finishing up the Greater Johnstown High School Band. They have departed, and both teams have come back out on the field. So, again, a rather extended halftime show with both bands performing. But both teams are back, and so we should be ready for football here within the next minute or so. Trojans looking real good defensively tonight. Offensively, in spurts, they have done the job. Obviously, they do not have the points or the yardage tonight they had against Brownsville 2 weeks ago. But I think potentially the offense can be awesome, could be awesome. And defensively, they just keep getting better and better.
So we are just about ready to go, and boy, that was an exciting first half. Jerry Davich has really pulled out all the tricks, and it's been just very entertaining football for the home folks here at the Point Stadium, and another excellent crowd on hand tonight. The weather is holding so far. We're supposed to have some rain later on this evening, but so far we've been very lucky.
I think Paul Husselby made a good point at halftime. When you've got the kind of skills people that the Trojans have, and they don't have a lot beyond that. They have a lot of young guys. We talked about a lot of juniors, but when you've got skills people like a Brian Mangiafico and a Mario Hardison and a James Bush, you know, and a couple of others that have a lot of speed and a lot of ability at running the football, catching the football, you might as well devise something to take advantage of those skills people. And so the spread formation, boy, really does that in such a way that it really shows off your skills people.
Next home game in 2 weekends against Derry will be homecoming night for the Trojans. And I'm sure that the folks working on the homecoming chuck will be tickled to death to get a night something like this evening, because it's just a very pleasant evening out here.
Well, you watch the weather deteriorate as the season goes on, although really the field is in better condition tonight than it was 2 weeks ago. And I guess, I don't remember, I guess temperature-wise we're talking about same kind of weather. It's been rather pleasant tonight.
Yeah, we are someplace in the 60s right now, and the wet part of that infield is actually dried out as the game has progressed, so the field is in great shape.
No problem running on the dirt part of the infield. I was down there before the game, and it really does look a bit worse than it is. It's damp in places, but no problem running, and that of course is definitely to the Trojans' advantage when you've got all the foot speed of a Bush and a Hardison and the Smurfs. Having that part of the field runnable is a big factor.
Welcome back on Cablevision Channel 9 and 850 WJAC Radio as we get set for the second half of tonight's football game between the Mount Pleasant Vikings and the Johnstown High Trojans. Johnstown holding a 7-2 lead as the co-captains for the Johnstown High squad will meet at the center of the field with the co-captains from the Viking squad.
Trojans co-captains, by the way, John Brapchak. If you happen to be watching, to your left, Robinson in the middle, Tom Passio on the right, meeting with co-captains from Mount Pleasant, the Vicious Vikings.
There they are.
I'm not sure what they talk about at this point. I mean, it's pretty obvious who's going to be kicking off and who's going to be receiving, right?
Well, you would think so. Maybe they're just allowing everybody to get reacquainted. The Trojans will accept the second half kickoff. And Johnstown, I would really be surprised if they come out and don't try the gadgets again, because apparently the coaching staff and the kids are having a lot of fun with all the different plays and the different tricks, the assortment of tricks that are in the coach's playbook this year, and certainly the fans are enjoying it.
I think Johnstown feels they can win this thing tonight. They've been winning the whole time, and I think they should continue with the same game plan. Use that spread formation often. I think they will. And all really, except for a few spurts from Mount Pleasant, they were able to defense them well in the first half of play.
Trojans are deployed, ready to receive that kick, but as you notice across the field, the Mount Pleasant team has not yet broken the huddle. Here they come, and they will kick it off to begin the second half, the third quarter of play.
Trojans 1-2, Mount Pleasant 1-2. Altoona defeating Johnstown first game of the season. Brownsville over the Trojans 35-21 2 weeks ago, and the Johnstown Storm abbreviated win over Fox Chapel last weekend 3-0. So Trojans can go 500 with a win here tonight.
The place kicker Adrian Armel is going to put the ball at the 40-yard line on the left hash mark, and that's where he will set it as he gets ready to kick it off to begin the second half of play.
Mario Hardison deep and ready.
Kick may come to Damien. That's going to be a little squibber into the center of the field, and it'll be picked up by John Williams to the 30, and not a whole lot more as he is wrestled down, and the Trojans will put the ball in play at their own 30-yard line just across the 30. First down and 10 as we begin the third period.
So the Trojans will start from second base, or a bit behind second base, just at the edge of the dirt and the grass.
It'll be at the 31-yard line. First and 10 Johnstown to begin the third quarter. And here we come immediately to the spread formation with the strength on the right side. Mangiafico about 6 or 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and the snap comes back to him on a bounce. Forward pass is complete to Hardison at the 25, and he'll only get out to about the 28-yard line. And there's a flag down late on the play. Hardison is going to lose 3, but the flag did go down late on the play.
Joe Puskar with the stop, but the flags have been flying here in the
personal foul against Mount Pleasant.
Bit of a surprise. I assumed that was going to be against the Trojans. We saw a lot of flags thrown against the Trojans on that spread formation 2 weeks ago with Brownsville. This one against Mount Pleasant.
The flags thrown on that one, Chuck, a couple of them at least, were for illegal formations. They ended up with not enough guys in the backfield, or with too many in the backfield. The play is going to lose 3 yards, but from that point they are going to step it off 15 yards against Brownsville. The foul coming after the play was dead, and then the foul occurred, and that'll move the ball out to the Johnstown 43-yard line.
And it gets you out of the dirt. Trojans in good field position.
So the officials set the ball ready, start the clock, and we're winding it up. At 11 and a half minutes remaining in the third quarter, back to a standard formation with a slot left. Mangiafico has him in the eye. Handoff going to come to the tailback. Mario Hardison tries the right side, and he is stacked up. He will get a yard or so out to about the 44-yard line. No more. Give him 1. And that'll bring up a 2nd and 9 for the Johnstown Trojans.
Sean Armbruster with the stop for the Vikings. So the Trojans coming up with a 2nd and 9 situation.
Welcome aboard on this Friday night on 850 WJAC Johnstown, Saturday night on Cablevision Channel 9. Scott McLeod along with Chuck Bender with the best in local high school football as the Trojans tonight are playing the Vikings of Mount Pleasant on 2nd down. Hand off to the tailback. And again, Hardison going to try to come around the right end. He'll get a few more yards down to about the 48-yard line. The gain will be good for 4, and that's going to bring up 3rd down for the Trojans.
Trojans seem to be convinced that they can exploit the right side of the line, the left side of the Mount Pleasant defensive line. They keep going that direction.
It's going to be 3rd down and 5 for Johnstown. The ball at their own 48-yard line. So here come the Trojans again deploying a normal formation with a slot left. Backs behind Mangiafico or in the eye. We have a split end on the right side. The flankers in the slot on the left side. Mangiafico back to pass. They're after him. He's down all the way to his own 35-yard line. Now up to the 40. Gets the ball away as he's hit. And he throws the ball complete to the Mount Pleasant 40-yard line. Completion to James Bush. Good job by Bush getting loose. And a better job by Mangiafico finding him down there.
Well, we keep talking about the poise as it has developed during the course of the season for Brian Mangiafico, and that's just a perfect example of it. He had to find a receiver. He had to get the 1st and 10. He had to elude the guy coming after him, and he was able to do all those things. 1st and 10, Trojans at the Mount Pleasant 40.
So in the pass play, Johnstown picks up a strong 12 yards, and here come the Trojans again with a slot left. Wide out on the right side, this time the split end is G-Roy Simon. Mangiafico sends a man in motion. That is Bush, left to right. Hand off to the tailback, Mario Hardison. He will crack across the 40 down nearly to the 35-yard line of Mount Pleasant. Strong surge by the offensive line in front of Hardison. Give him 4 yards on the carry, make it 5 yards on the carry. And that's a winner on 1st down when you can pick up 5 down to the 35.
Trojan offense has turned a bit conservative here in the 2nd half of play, but they seem convinced they can run against Mount Pleasant from the conventional formations, and they've done pretty well.
From the 35-yard line of Mount Pleasant, Johnstown comes out again with a slot left. Wide receiver on the right side. The split end is G-Roy Simon. From the eye behind Mangiafico, he barks out signals. Bush now comes in motion left to right. Handoff comes to the tailback, Mario Hardison. He'll get a couple of yards across the 35 to the 33. Pickup of 2 yards for Hardison. That's going to bring up 3rd down and 3.
Scott, I don't know if you've observed that Brian Mangiafico, when he is over center, is not in the same stance that he has been in the first 3 games this season when he seemed to have his rear end about a foot off the ground. He's not doing that anymore.
We commented on how low he was, and he did lose a couple snaps from center, so perhaps the coaching staff has done a bit of a touch-up job, Chuck, on his receiving the snap.
I've never seen a quarterback do what he did.
Oh, you're right. He is not nearly as low as he was. High formation, 2-step drop. Pitch is complete to Simon. Simon will get to the 35-yard line, inside the 35 to the 30 to the 28-yard line. He's going to step out at the 26, will be the rolling out of bounds at the 26. But that's a great job, and that'll pick up about 7 yards and a 1st down.
Well, you got to hold your breath on that passing formation. You know that when Mangiafico throws the ball over there on that particular play, you've got the potential for an interception that could go for a touchdown.
Trojans on the move again, would like to keep it going. They're going to send same formation. G-Roy Simon, the split end on the right side. Flanker on the left side, and now a flag goes. And that is by the linesman. That will not be a delay of the game. That's going to be somebody breaking across into the neutral zone. Either illegal procedure on the Trojans or offside against Mount Pleasant. And apparently it's going to go against the Vikings. So that'll be a 5-yard step off as we get the official signal. Offside, Mount Pleasant.
And we have seen a few more flags here in the 2nd half of play than we did in the 1st half. In fact, the 1st half, we didn't see a flag until several plays had gone by.
3 penalties now against Mount Pleasant overall, 4 overall tonight, for a total of 40 yards. Here come the Trojans with the same formation. The flanker man will be on the left side. That will be Damian Robinson, split end G-Roy Simon on the right side. Pitch to the deep back, Mario Hardison. He gets a good kick-out block on the corner. He's got a 1st down and more as he's down to the 5 and into the end zone for a touchdown. A 21-yard run by Mario Hardison. And it was a great kick-out block by either the flanker or the wideout on the left side, Chuck, that allowed him to scamper into the end zone, 21 yards for the score.
Well, you're right. A good block as Hardison went around the left side. And when we talk about the cutting ability of Mario Hardison, he's got the speed, he's got the cutting ability, and he turned it into a 21-yard touchdown that time.
Here is Arturo Vega with Brian Mangiafico to hold. Arturo at this end of the field has been known to put him right out of the stadium. It's a fake. Trojans are going to go for the two-point conversion, and there's nobody open, and Mangiafico will have to eat the football. So there's timeout on the field with the score, Johnstown 13 and the Vikings 2.
Coming through, coming through. We're coming through for you. Cable vision of Greater Johnstown, coming through for Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Coming through for you. Coming through for you.
Bush will be kicking off there.
James Bush will be kicking off from left to right for the Trojans as Mike Smith deploys at about his 8-yard line to receive this punt. The officials mark the ball ready for play. Bush approaches the ball, and we are underway with the Trojans leading by 11. Smith will take it at his 8-yard line. Across the 15 to the 20, out to the 25 to 30, to the 33 or 4-yard line. Nice return by Smith as Mike brings them out of danger out to the 33-yard line, and that's where the Vikings will put the ball in play.
Trojans have been playing pretty effective defense tonight, and they would seem to be in control at this point in time as they have held the Mount Pleasant Vikings to 2 points, that coming on the safety in the second quarter. So the offense has not been able to put any points on the board.
Mario Hardison with 94 yards rushing for the Trojans, the rest of the club with 7. As a team, they're up to 101, but Mario has a 94-point-something% of that. From a split backfield, handoff going to go to the second back through, and nothing doing for Chris Patoka, the 205-pound senior, as he is tripped up after getting just a yard or two.
Damian Robinson getting the stop, and Robinson doing a good job defensively this year. 15 tackles coming into the ball game tonight. Has a few this evening against Mount Pleasant.
They've been a long 2 yards across the 35 out to about the 36-yard line. And that's where the Vikings will put it in play, second down and a long 7 or a short 8 to go. Again, they've got everybody packed in tight. There are, in fact, 2 tight ends, a flanker and split backs behind Barton. A running style formation. Handoff will go inside to Patoka, and he gets a hole, cracks it out to the 40-yard line where it's going to be third down and a long 3.
And again, Damian Robinson with the tackle. He is a senior, and he is 180, but he plays like he's about 200. He's a hard hitter.
He's out actually to the 42-yard line where it's going to be third down and just a couple.
Mount Pleasant just doesn't want to throw the football.
So a big third down play for the Trojan defense as they dig in. It's third and a short 2, a long 1 for the Vikings out across their own 40 at near the 42-yard line. Once again, 2 tight ends, a power formation, split backs behind Barton. Handoff going to go through the center of the line. Good enough for a first down as the 205-pound Chris Patoka cracks it out to the 46-yard line. A gain of about 4 and a first down for the Vikings from Mount Pleasant. 6 first downs this evening for the Vikings.
Williams and Bush getting the stop for the Trojans. Next home game for Johnstown 2 weeks from tonight. We will have that for you on Cablevision Channel 9. That with Johnstown and Derry here at the Point Stadium.
Set your magic memory button to 850 and wake up mornings with Larry Ford on the Oldies channel, WJAC Johnstown. 5:40 left third quarter. First down as Mount Pleasant has a new set of downs to work with. Handoff goes to Patoka again, and the workhorse in the Viking backfield cracks across the 46 to about the 47 or 8-yard line. Give him 2 yards on the carry. And it'll be second down and about 8 yards to go for the Vikes.
Brian Stevens there, so is Tom Passio with a stop. Jerry Davidge really doesn't substitute much at all on defense. He has some hard hitters, guys that have made a lot of tackles, and we keep calling their names over and over.
There are some good, solid football players on his team. Second down and 8 to go. Power I formation. Again, everybody is in tight. This is a running formation. Handoff will come to the deep back, and not much doing for Mike Smith, as he will get 2 yards out to the midfield stripe, and that's going to be it. It'll be 3rd and long for the Vikings.
You know, Scott, time early isn't a factor. I mean, there's 4:40 remaining in the 3rd quarter, so lots of time left. But with Mount Pleasant just eating up the clock, keeping it on the ground, you wonder why they're doing it. You think they should be opening it up at least a bit.
Maybe they don't have the offense that can open it up, because they seem to be doing what's comfortable for them, although the Trojans are leading here by 11 points. 3rd down, 6 yards to go now for the Vikes. They do send Wayne Clark split out wide on the right. The remaining backs are in the power I on the 3rd and long. Barton will hand it off again in the backfield. It's going to be near the 1st down marker, as finally coming down with it is Sean Armbrust, and he will be a yard short of the 1st down, just outside the Trojan 45-yard line. A pickup of 5, it's going to be 4th and a yard. So now if you're the Vikings head coach Bill Elder, you pretty much established your running game. You're going to go for it here.
Yeah, you don't go for a 1st and 10. You don't go for the pass with 3rd and what was it, about a 3rd and 6 situation. You know they're just going to avoid that unless they absolutely have to.
So if the Trojans can hold, the Vikings will be giving up excellent field position. But down by 11 points with the ball just outside the Trojan 45, they're not about to punt it away. Watch for a long count here, trying to draw Johnstown offside. You're right. Quarterback sneak, and he's got the 1st down as quarterback J.P. Barton crosses the 45 down to the 43-yard line. A gain of 2, he needed 1. And that'll stop the clock momentarily at the 3:16 mark in the 3rd quarter as they reset the chains. Johnstown leading here 13-2.
Trojans like to pick up a win tonight. They have been in control the whole way, led the ball game the whole way, and a win does give them a 500 season 2-2 record if they win this one.
Johnstown is going to need to use an equipment timeout. This is an official timeout. As for the Trojans, Paul Nitrar has come up with a bit of a problem on his helmet. He needs his hat fixed. They will send him back in. He's ready to go. So he'll buckle down his hat and get ready to play.
Well, you know, Nitrar plays a middle linebacker position more often than not, and with that size, he's 6'1", 180. He just kind of has the ranginess and the fiery competitiveness of a Jack Lambert. He really does remind me of a Lambert type out there at that position.
And he's learned a lot of football, I'm sure, from his father, who is quite a player and a coach, Paul Nitrar Sr. Here come the Vikings on 1st down. They've got a flanker on the left side. Everybody else is tight split backs behind Barton. The Vikings moving right to left here in the 3rd quarter. Send a man in motion now, left to right. Handoff will come into the center of the line, and the Trojans are there. Nitrar again was in on the tackle with some help from his friends. And Chris Patuka is going to fall forward to about the 41-yard line. It's a gain of 2.
Mount Pleasant very slowly moving that football upfield. Make no mistake about that, but in the process eating up a lot of clock, and we're down to 2:20 now in the 3rd quarter. They've consumed, what, about 4 minutes on this drive.
This is the Trojans' first conference game of the season. So if Johnstown can hang on and win it tonight, they will start off their conference play on the right foot. Slot left formation this time. 2nd down, a short 8 yards to go. Slot man comes in motion. Pitch goes deep back to Smith. He's got some room on the right side. He will be pulled down at about the 36 or 7-yard line. So Mike Smith looked like he was going to have more room, Chuck, than he actually did. He's well short of the 1st down. With the ball being set down at the Trojan 37, it's a gain of 4.
Mike Smith did have lots of room to roam. Unfortunately, he didn't have the speed of a James Bush. Bush able to catch up with him and make the stop. That could have gone for a big gainer if Bush would not have caught up with him.
So it's going to be 3rd down, a long 3, a short 4 for the Vikes as they break the huddle and come out over the football. The center, the first one to arrive at the scene, gets ready to go. Barton from the I formation on 3rd down. Hand off to the first back, and good job by Chris Patoka as he by himself drags would-be tacklers with him and gets the 1st down across the 35 at about the 33-yard line. And we have a Trojan injured on the play. So as Johnstown takes care of the injured player, we'll take timeout for this commercial break.
Look what's coming through this week on cable. That's this week, only on Cablevision of Greater Johnstown.
So the wounded Trojan will be helped off the field.
And indeed, it is John Drapchak who was on the field, down on the ground a long time. Drapchak, the 210-pound Trojan senior, but he is up on his feet, leaving the field.
And it seems to be an arm problem, Chuck, something with his left arm. Drapchak is holding the left arm in tight to the body as he's coming off on the sideline.
And he has such a force on defense in the middle of that defensive line. Hate to see him out of there.
So they will attend to him, and we'll get back to play. The Vikings have the ball 1st and 10 at the Johnstown 33-yard line with a minute 2, a minute 1, and a minute now counting. Here in the third period, Johnstown Trojans are leading 13-2. The Vikings show a slot left formation. The backs are split behind Barton. On first down, the slot man comes in motion from left to right. There was movement in the Viking line, no flag. And a big hole opens up for Patoka. He will carry all the way across the Trojan 20 and drop the football. It'll be marked dead inside the Trojan 25 at the 23-yard line. The ball is blown dead. So Mount Pleasant will have another first down.
Not getting much of an argument from any of the Trojans, as the official immediately called it dead football.
It's at the 18-yard line. It's a pickup of 15 yards on the carry.
Big gainer, biggest gainer on this particular drive by Mount Pleasant. Comes with 18 seconds remaining in the quarter.
Are the officials having a conference among themselves, Chuck?
Yes, they are. Maybe one of them said the fumble occurred before he was down.
One of the rules that was spelled out this year is even in games that are televised, high school officials are not allowed to use instant replay. So the call is going to stand as it was originally called, and Mount Pleasant will have it 1st and 10 at the Johnstown 18-yard line.
Clock running. They may not get this one off.
7 seconds and ticking. Barton just now getting under center with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There's the horn. So the play, they're going to let the play stand. There was another fumble. This might be a big help for the Trojans as they pick up the loose football. So the ball was snapped just as the horn sounded the end of the third quarter. And on the fumble, the Trojans will take over at their 17-yard line. We played 3 periods. There's timeout on the field with the score. Trojans 13, Mount Pleasant Vikings 2.
The telephone can't see. You've got to assume the person on the other end is just like anybody else. So I wasn't surprised when Joan called and asked me to buy cable TV. I explained my situation, but she asked me to give it a try. We started laughing together. The whole thing sounded ridiculous. But as it turns out, the 24-hour news and entertainment were just what I needed. Cable TV has made a difference in my life. Thanks, Joan, for seeing more than meets the eye.
12 minutes of football remaining on this Friday night. If you're listening to WJAC Radio, Saturday night, Cablevision Channel 9. Trojans leading at 13-2.
Airtime on Cablevision 7 p.m. Saturday. And with 1st and 10 with the ball at their own 17-yard line, the Trojans come out with twin wideouts on the left side. I-backs behind Mangiafico. Pitch will go to the deep back. Hardison gets a great kick-out block to the 25 to 30. Hardison to the 35. A flag is thrown at the end of the play at about the 36 or 7-yard line. So Mario Hardison doing a great job running the ball. The flag is on the ground.
Well, we saw a lot of Trojans around the play, kind of blocking our view, but one would assume a late hit on that one.
Play is going to carry out to the 36, I believe, is where they have it marked along the sideline. That would be in a 19-yard gain for Mario Hardison, and it would put him well over 100 yards on the evening.
Face mask.
He had 19 yards. He had 91 yards before, and he just picked up 19.
So
113 yards.
What a night for Mario Hardison.
And a major penalty tacked onto the end of it. As the official now will spot the ball down at the Mount Pleasant 49-yard line.
Things are going all the Trojans' way here in this one.
15 yards on the face mask call, and it's 1st and 10 Johnstown. 55 yards in penalties against the Vikings thus far this evening with 11:45 on a turning clock. Trips now on the wideouts on the left side, on the right side. And Mount Pleasant will be trying to pick them up man for man. They've got more wideouts than they have defenders, but the ball is going to be carried across right guard by John Hardison, and he will pull it down to the 45 for a gain of 4.
Well, with the Trojans in possession of the football, we're early in the 4th quarter, and with Mount Pleasant's not using the pass play, having to keep it on the ground whenever they do need to pick up a couple of touchdowns to win this thing. One would assume that the Trojans should be able to win this unless they make a mistake.
And Johnstown will be turning off a lot of the clock as they're keeping the ball on the ground. Again, there are trips on the right side. And the Vikings would be hard-pressed to cover all 3 of them. Brian Mangiafico going to roll right. And that's just what the Trojans were thinking, but now he'll keep it, cut it back against the grain. Across the 35, down to the 34-yard line, a gain of about 11 yards, and a Trojan first down. Good job running the ball by Brian Mangiafico.
And he can do it all. He knows how to pass it. He can punt the football. He can run with it when necessary. He's got just enough speed. Really is a good all-around athlete.
10 first downs on the evening now for Johnstown as the ball is just inside the 35 Viking yard line.
What Mangiafico or whoever happens to be running the football for the Trojans has to be aware of at this point in the game, and with Mount Pleasant down by a couple of touchdowns, is the need of Mount Pleasant to try and strip it away.
Mangiafico 6'3", 189 pounds. Good size for a Scholastic quarterback. I formation this time. Deep pitch comes to Hardison. He cuts back against the grain inside, and he does not quite get back to the line of scrimmage as a late flag is thrown at about the 30-yard line. A loss of a yard by Mario Hardison, but again a flag is down, and this one would appear to be against the Trojans, as the call will be for a chop block against Johnstown. So that'll set the Trojans back.
13-2 is our score. Trojans have led the whole way with the early touchdown coming on the pass play from Mangiafico to Hardison. The safety made it a bit closer with Mount Pleasant getting their only points of the ball game in the 2nd quarter. That made it 7-2. Johnstown coming back on the 21-yard Mario Hardison run with that making the score 13-2 after the miss on the extra point. So that's where we are. Johnstown 13, Mount Pleasant 2.
And one of those wideouts who was giving those great blocks this time was called for a chop block, and it'll move it back 15 yards to the Johnstown 48-yard line. And it's first and a whole long ways, 27 yards for the Trojans. Mangiafico back to pass, tries to square up there after him. He drops the football. He cannot find the handle. Now he finally does scoop it up at his own 30-yard line. That's the 3rd fumble for the Trojans as Mangiafico simply had it pop out of his hands. Trojans have recovered all their fumbles, but now it's going to be a whole long way. Yeah, let's see. 10, 20, 30, 45 yards. It's going to be 2nd down and 45 yards to go for a first down. They must get all the way down to the 35-yard line of the Vikings. They're at their own 30-yard line. So now if Jerry's got a gadget, it would be a good time to use it. We haven't seen the hook and ladder tonight. Mangiafico drops back. They're after him again. Pass comes out in the flat, complete to the receiver, John Hardison, and he gets all the way out to the 45 and across the 45 to the 46-yard line. So that's going to be a 16-yard pickup, and that's a winner at the position they were at.
Oh, it sure is. A lot of quarterbacks in that situation on long yardage situations are going to try and get it all at once. Mangiafico with the poise to go with the short pass to Hardison and a 16-yard gainer.
Yes,
that gets back a big chunk of it.
Out to the 45-yard line, and now it's 3rd and a little less than infinity.
So now even if they don't get the 1st and 10, and they are forced to punt, at least Mount Pleasant theoretically is going to be pretty deep in their own territory.
They really would. It's 3rd down and 30. And they're going to send the trip wideouts on the left side this time. A lone running back behind Brian Mangiafico on 3rd and 30. He will drop straight back to pass.
Coming after him.
He'll pass out in the flat to Hardison, who will get to the 50-yard line, and that's all. It's a 5-yard gain. But as you observed, Chuck, the Trojans are now in great position to putt the ball away and put the Vikings deep down in their own end of the field.
Very similar pass play without the success of the last one, but nevertheless, they get 5 yards out of it. They get it to midfield, and so they will put Mount Pleasant deep in their own territory. And Mount Pleasant, even though they moved the football last time they had it on offense, they ate up around 4 minutes of the clock and going 60 or 70 yards.
Mike Smith is the deep man for the Vikings. Brian Mangiafico will stand at about his 38-yard line and receive this snap from center and get off the kick, and it's another dandy. Smith will field it at his 15, moves to his right, and gets nailed at about the 21-yard line. So great defense again by the Trojan special teams as they were down under the punt covering very well. And the Vikings will start deep in their territory just outside their 20 with a 1st and 10.
Paul Nitro, boy, you can see that one coming. Nitro on his kamikaze specialty type tackle that time. That was fun to watch, and it does put Mount Pleasant deep in their own territory with 7.5 minutes in the ball game, and they're down by 11.
At the 22, the Vikings in the dirt infield will go to work, moving from left to right here in the 4th period. J.P. Barton, the quarterback, will hand the ball into the center of the line, and Patoka will get just a couple. And that's not going to get it done for you with a game that has only 7 minutes and change remaining. Gain of about a yard, it's going to be 2nd and 9.
And it would seem at this point, although we've been saying this for the last 15 minutes, it would seem like Mount Pleasant is just going to have to throw the football.
They are 2 for 7 overall this evening for a total of 35 yards in the air. There's a flanker on the left side. The split end is wide on the right side, and Barton is barking signals. Flanker now comes in motion left to right, and Barton's going to hand it all. He's going to keep it himself on a little quarterback option. He will move out to 1st down territory as he goes out of bounds someplace outside the 35 at about the 37 or 8 yard line. That'll move the sticks. Apparently fumbled the ball out of bounds. That's of no consequence. It'll be a 1st down for the Vikings.
Join us in a couple of weeks when the Johnstown Trojans have another conference game against Derry, also from Westmoreland County, 2 weeks from tonight on Cablevision.
That'll be Trojan night as the Johnstown Trojans meet the Derry Trojans. From their own 33-yard line, the Vikings this time send out a slot right. It's 1st down and 10. And back to pass goes Barton. Little play fake inside, throws the ball way downfield as Smith there makes the catch at the Trojan 30 and goes out of bounds inside the 20 at the 19-yard line. So that's a winner for sure. 48 yards on the pass play from J.P. Barton to Mike Smith.
And a bit of a mismatch, too, because he had Nick Teeter, a linebacker, defending him as opposed to one of the Smurfs who might have been able to more likely catch up with him. So that's exactly what Mount Pleasant needed. They needed the big gainer. They got it, and so they're not out of this yet.
Down at the Trojan 19, the clock starts to run with 5:53 remaining in the ball game. As the Vikings huddle up, the Trojans get ready for defense on this 1st down play.
But the clock is still running.
Here comes Barton with another wide receiver right, flanker left formation. Barton comes back to pass. They're after him. They knock him down as he's throwing it. Good defensive play by Tom Passio, who was blitzing. And Barton gets nailed just as he tries to get rid of the ball. It falls incomplete. It'll be 2nd down.
That is the 4th time tonight that Barton has had Passio coming at him in the backfield as he was trying to unload the football.
A quarterback who rolls to his left, as Passio did, his best friend is the right guard and right tackle, and that's the area where Passio has found some openings. And this time he was all over him like flies on a garbage truck, and Passio put Barton down just as he was throwing the football.
And I think Passio is going to be on the blitz again this time. Good chance we're going to see a similar passing situation.
2nd down and 10, this time from the full house backfield. Used to be called the T. Changed the name, same formation. Back to pass goes Barton. Gets some time, aims it for the end zone, and it's overthrown over the outstretched arms of Mike Smith.
Same situation as the long pass play a minute or so ago with Nick Teeter defending against Mike Smith. This time the pass not thrown as well as that long gainer, and so it's going to bring up 3rd down.
And there's a flag on the field, and they're talking with the Trojans. Well, this would apparently be a call against the Vikings from Mount Pleasant, and Johnstown seems as though they will decline the illegal motion penalty, and that'll bring up 3rd down and 10. So the motion penalty declined. As for the Trojans, Paul Nitrar getting the assistance from the coaching staff. The ball will stay at the 19, and it'll be 3rd down and 10. Clock stopped on the incompletion with 5:23 remaining. Johnstown leading 13-2. Scott McLeod and Chuck Bender, glad you've joined us on Friday Night Football on WJAC Radio, Saturday night on Cablevision Channel 9. Splitbacks this time on 3rd and 10. Barton in what would seem to be an obvious passing down. Will move the ball straight back, and they're all over him again. Down he goes as the Killer Bees were charging. And Barton had no chance.
I don't know how he got in there that quickly, but 269-pound Bill Roth, the senior, made that play. He was instantly in Barton's face. He didn't finish him off. A couple other Trojans did, but, boy, that could be...
Clock continuing to run with 4:48 and ticking. And this may be the Vikings' last stand right here, 4th and 18.
You talk about a team with a strong football program like Mount Pleasant and then stop them with 2 points. That's an impressive Johnstown performance tonight.
It really has been. This team is coming together and playing very well this evening. Man comes in motion on 4th and 18. Back to pass with a little quickie over the center. It's going to be caught by Lamont Rogers, and he is dragged down, and that'll be the end of the drive, as at the Trojans' 22-yard line. Johnstown will take over. It's only a 5-yard gain.
Damian Robinson gets the Trojan stop, but I don't know if you noticed, Barton got blasted just as he unloaded that football. He has had a rough evening here tonight.
I was just going to comment on that Barton is getting some of the Bubby Brister treatment. As poor Bubby goes through an awful lot of agony, Chuck, and Barton is finding out what it's like here tonight.
So the Trojans take over in great shape with 4:15 remaining on the clock. They can run off a couple of running plays. This one should be secure.
I would think we're for sure not going to see any fancy formations and no gadgets here. From the wishbone, Mangiafico barks signals. Pitch comes to the deep back, Mario Hardison. Tries the right end. He will get up across the 25-yard line to the 26 or 7, so that's a winner on 1st down. A gain of about 5 for Hardison, and the Trojans will face 2nd down and 5.
That is the 4th time, well, the last 4 times that the Trojans have run that play with the pitch out to Hardison. They have gained minimum 5 yards on each of those 4 occasions.
Wait till we hear Hardison's average per carry tonight. It's going to be impressive because he's had a couple long ones.
He's got speed, he's got the cutting ability, and he just seems to be getting better game by game.
Cambria Heights and Forest Hills next Friday night on the Oldies Channel with Jim Penna and Don Stanton. 2nd down and 5 again from the wishbone. Handoff will go to the deep back, and that one's going to lose a couple of yards back to the 25-yard line. Hardison will get -2 on that one.
As they unpile him, the clock keeps running. We're down to just over 3 minutes remaining.
They've made believers out of a lot of the fans, Chuck. They are starting to walk along the exit ramps.
Well, they saw a good one tonight, make no mistake about it. The Trojans are fun to watch, even when they're not in their spread formation. They're an exciting team to watch on offense because with the speed of a Hardison and a James Bush, anything can happen at any time.
3rd down, a long 6, a short 7. Take your pick. Again from the wishbone. We would anticipate another running play, and the deep pitch comes to the Trojans in the backfield, and John Hardison is going to get nothing, and there's a flag down. Play loses about 6 or 7 yards back inside the 20 to the 18-yard line. And the flag would come at a place where you would anticipate holding against the Trojans. That'll be the call, and that'll, of course, be declined.
Zimmerman getting the stop for Mount Pleasant, but the clock down to 2:31. 13-2 the score. Trojans with losses the first 2 weeks with Altoona and Brownsville. The 3-0 win in the Storm abbreviated game last Friday night with Fox Chapel, and an apparent win here tonight against Mount Pleasant. So the Trojans will go to 2-2.
And it looks as though they are going to step off the penalty. Illegal use of hands against Johnstown. No, they won't. They're going to set the ball back down. It is declined. And that'll bring up 4th down. It'll mean Brian Mangiafico will have to punt the ball away from deep in his own end of the field.
Trojans on the road next weekend. They play Friday night at Southmoreland.
Jerry Davidge wants the clock started. The old coach is rotating his arm, and finally they do, and we're down under 2.5 minutes now. Mangiafico with 2 defenders in front of him will drop back about 10 yards to get this punt away. Mount Pleasant not showing the all-out rush. Long count. Nobody jumps offside. Center flinches. Center flinches back again.
Nobody notices.
Down to 2:02, and the Trojans are just going to let the 25-second clock run out. And it does with 2 minutes even remaining in the ball game. Not a bad bit of strategy as it chews some more time off the clock, and that's why Jerry wanted that clock started, Chuck.
That's right.
Because he knew they were not going to snap the football. They were just going to let it run. The 5-yard penalty will move it back inside the 15 at the 13-yard line.
And so here we go again.
And this time they'll have to snap it because the official will not restart the clock in this situation. Otherwise, the team could just keep taking delay of game penalties. Kind of a wobbly snap. Mangiafico gets off a wobbly kick, but it's going to take a bounce. And finally be fielded by Wayne Clark, and he'll be wrestled out of bounds at the Trojan 48-yard line. Again, good punt coverage downfield. A good kick by Mangiafico when all was said and done for about 35 yards. And the Vikings will get the ball at the Trojan 48, and that's where they'll put it in play with 1:49 remaining.
Damian Robinson down there to make the stop. So was John Drapchak, and it's good to see Drapchak back at a ball game. He was on the field with the, the arm injury a bit ago, but he's in there.
So the Vikings will have to fill the evening air with footballs now as the clock's at 1:49, and they're down by 11 points. And it seems like just about a hopeless cause for Mount Pleasant here.
Seems like the only long-distance passes have been thrown to Mike Smith. So let's see how they defend Smith.
Wayne Clark is split out wide to the left side. Slot left formation. Barton back to pass. JPB and Chafe will throw it way downfield. Has a man wide open as nobody picked up Smith. And he will be down inside the 10 at the 9-yard line. Call it the 8-yard line.
You know, Mike Smith was not split on that formation. I was looking for him as that play was about to develop, and I couldn't find him anywhere, but he was wide open.
That's a 44-yard pickup and not a bad pass play for the Vikings as they are down at the Trojans 8, and somebody just totally missed the assignment.
I didn't see him. I don't know where that guy came from.
Trojans play virtually all man-for-man defenses, so somebody whose responsibility it was to pick up Smith simply just missed him coming out of the backfield. The Vikings now threatening to make this real interesting with 1:25. Barton back again. They're after him again. He rolls to his left. He has some room, and he will stumble out of bounds very near the line of scrimmage. J.P. Barton gets the clock stopped. He's going to be out of bounds on the far side at just about the line of scrimmage. It'll be 2nd down.
Well, the Trojan defense, even if they give up the touchdown here and even if they go for 2 points, is going to find themselves leading by 13-9, and that's good news because that means that even if that were to occur, Mount Pleasant would need a touchdown to win the ball game. Field goal would not be enough.
Remind you, this is a copyrighted broadcast of WJAC and Cablevision Channel 9. Any use of the descriptions and accounts of this game without prior permission is prohibited. The announcers have been selected and are being compensated by WJAC Radio and Cablevision Channel 9. Back to pass goes Barton. They're after him again. There's a flag down. The pass is complete for a loss of 2 yards. So good coverage that time by the Trojans as somebody was shadowing Mike Smith. He caught the ball and lost 2 yards, but there is a flag down. And we'll see what the flag could be. Illegal motion against Mount Pleasant. That's a penalty the Trojans will decline because to take the penalty would give them a 5-yard loss and another down. However, to refuse the penalty gives them a 2-yard loss and they lose a down.
You know, for the Trojans right now, it's not just a matter of winning the football game. They would like to preserve what is very close to a shutout. They'd like to get out of this thing with just giving up the 2 points on defense.
And actually, the offense gave up the 2 points, so the defense has not been scored on.
Right.
So with the ball just outside the Trojan 10 with 1:01, a minute now on a turning clock, the Vikings will come out to have at it yet one more time.
Clock running.
Barton with split backs. Bark signals. Double pump fake. Pitch toward the goal line to Wayne Clark, goes off his hands and bounces away for an incompletion. In there on the coverage for the Trojans was Damian Robinson.
Good coverage from Robinson. Not a well-thrown pass. Had to reach back to try and grab it. Not catchable at all.
Tough play for Wayne Clark, as it was a crossing pattern. He was running toward the goal line, crossing across the field from left to right, and the pass just didn't lead him enough. So now it's 4th down and the last gap for the Vikings with 42 seconds remaining.
Yeah, one would think 2 plays left in the game. If Mount Pleasant can't do it here, Trojans can come back with 1 play and it's all over.
From the I formation, Barton ready to go. Last chance. Yacher comes in motion. Back to pass goes quarterback J.P. Barton. Throws it for the end zone. It's incomplete. And once again, J.P. Barton took a big stick as he released the football. He will wobble to his knees and get up. And the Trojans are congratulating one another. And there is Barton, who took a big hit just as he released the football. The Trojans say, we've got this one won. Let's start the celebration. High fives for everybody.
Yeah, Mount Pleasant and Barton in particular did get pounded several times tonight, and the Trojan defense got to feel good about this performance.
There will be a timeout taken by Johnstown here with 35 seconds left. This is just, I guess, the old coach, Chuck, going to tell the players that here's what we're going to do. We're going to snap the ball back, and Brian Mangiafico is going to drop to the ground to one knee, and we have to have somebody behind him in case it squibbles loose. I guess you've noticed that all the teams have that play now with the sort of the deep defender behind the quarterback.
I guess that's got to be, but this thing in control, 13-2, a pretty win tonight for the Trojans. They had it gone on offense with a couple of touchdowns, and the defensive performance tonight was really spectacular.
On the radio side, the executive producer of WJAC Sports is Bill Krieger. Tonight's game produced by Tom Slobosian, the chief engineer, Jim Boxler. The broadcast scheduling coordinator, Karen Kohler. Tonight's in-studio engineer was Teresa Smay. Scott McLeod and Chuck Bender, we're so glad you've joined us. Johnstown victorious in this second home game. It'll be a 2-2 record and 1-0 in the Keystone Conference for the Trojans. And if you're going to watch this one on Saturday night, again, be sure to watch the halftime show. Both bands put on just tremendous performances.
Boy, Jerry Davidge not wanting to let this one slip away in some strange way out there, going over everything he wants to remind the troops of.
Brian Mangiafico will have the wishbone formation, so there are 3 deep defenders behind quarterback Mangiafico. Now the whistle blows, and the Trojans apparently have taken too much time. Let's see what this call is going to be. No, that was not the time judge. This is going to be a line violation. We will get the call. Dead ball. Offside, Vikings. So that'll move the ball out 5 more yards.
5 yards offside.
Johnstown and Derry, 2 weeks. The next home game for the Trojans, and we'll have that for you on Cablevision Saturday night at 7 o'clock.
Again, Brian Mangiafico leads him out in the wishbone, and it's just going to be a matter of killing the clock now. He will take the ball. They're actually going to pitch it to Hardison. He'll try the right side. He'll try to stay in bounds, too, is another thing he'll try to do. He crosses the 15 out to the 18 or 19-yard line, and clock is going to stop. So there will be another play. 25 seconds remaining. And the play is good for 8 yards, but that is really incidental. Now, Jerry Davidge thought there was a timeout. He will trot back off the field, as evidently the clock was stopped on the out-of-bounds play, so there is no timeout. And the Trojans are going to have to run another one. I'm really surprised, Chuck, they didn't just sit on the football.
I am, too. And that play, by the way, the pitch out to Hardison, that's 5 times in a row they've run it for 5 yards or better.
A very wide wishbone formation this time, protecting the ball. Brian Mangiafico will go down to one knee. And that's going to be the final play of the ball game, as the clock will tick down now, and the Trojans don't have to snap it again. So it's been a good night for the Johnstown Trojans, and with 10 seconds left, for reasons known only to themselves, the Vikings will take a timeout and stop the clock. So we will watch here as the coaching staffs trot out onto the field. The Trojans will take a listen from Jerry Davidge, and the Vikings from head coach Bill Elder, and we'll have to run one more play. I saw a basketball team once, Chuck, leading by 30-odd points with 3 seconds left, take a timeout.
I think I recall that game. That wasn't too many years ago.
We did that one together.
One can only wonder. And the coaches are out there. and dealing with this thing like it's a close ball game and there's plenty of time left. I can't imagine. Just how the fog is.
Making some noise on the sidelines, and the Trojans scratching their head on the football field. But they get another couple of minutes of glory as they get to stay on the field to savor this 13-2 victory. Just one more moment. Great night for the stat person because it slowed down here at the end, and she's all done.
And half the crowd has already departed. This place is almost empty.
Nice job, old coach, as Jerry runs off the field after talking to the troops. And I would imagine we're just going to have Brian Mangiafico down to one. No, they're going to drop Mangiafico back, and this time they're going to try to run out the clock. And it's going to cause him to take a hit with 3 seconds, 2, 1, and there's the end of the ball game. Mangiafico runs about 4 or 5 seconds off, and the rest of the clock rolls down, and the Trojans have this 13-2 victory with no time left on the scoreboard, and the Trojans celebrating on the field. We'll be back with final game summaries right after this.
My sister broke her hip. She was miserable. Harriet, I said, let's get you cable TV. It'll keep you entertained while you get better. Oh, she said, I haven't watched much since they stopped showing Lucy. Well, I insisted. Next thing, the grandchildren are coming over, and we're all watching together, like in the old days. My, oh, my, you should have seen Harriet's face when Lucy popped up on the screen. Cable TV has made a difference in my life and in Sister Harriet's.
It is all over at the Point Stadium, and put up a W for Johnstown, winning their second game of the season. They defeat Mount Pleasant 13-2. Good night of football at the Point Stadium. Scott McLeod, what happened statistically?
Here's the way it looks so far tonight, Chuck. Overall in the ball game, the Trojans had 10 first downs. Mount Pleasant had 11. Johnstown was 9 of 15 passing for a total of 78 yards. Mount Pleasant was 6 of 15 passing. They had a total of 130 yards as they had a couple guys that simply got loose. The Johnstown Trojans intercepted one Mount Pleasant pass. They did not give up any interceptions. Mount Pleasant fumbled 5 times, and they lost a couple of them. The Trojans fumbled 3 times, and they got theirs back. Scoring in the second half looked like this. With 7:52 remaining in the third period, Mario Hardison on a 21-yard run. The try for the 2-point conversion was no good. That gave the Trojans 13 points, and that's all the scoring there was in the second half. Mario Hardison was our rushing leader tonight. He ended up with 14 carries for 123 yards. That is just under an average of 9 yards per carry. So congratulations to Mario Hardison. He busted the 100-yard mark tonight by a long shot. Trojans had 3 penalties for 30 yards, and for Mount Pleasant, 6 penalties for 60 yards. A great night for the Trojans as they win their first conference game here at the Point Stadium.
Tonight's game brought to you on Cablevision Channel 9. Hope you enjoyed our broadcast. We will be back at you 2 weeks from tonight when Johnstown takes on Derry again on a Saturday night from the Point Stadium. For Scott McLeod, I'm Chuck Bender. Good night from the Point Stadium.